Congress is on the brink of a major standoff, and the stakes couldn't be higher. With a possible government shutdown just days away, Democratic leaders are stepping up their demands, insisting on a direct conversation with former President Donald Trump to negotiate a solution. Why? They claim Trump and his Republican allies are blocking crucial discussions, instead eyeing cuts that could jeopardize healthcare programs millions of Americans rely on. But here's where things get controversial. Both sides say the other is to blame for the looming crisis. Senator Chuck Schumer and Representative Hakeem Jeffries, two prominent Democrats from New York, fired off a strongly worded letter. In it, they accused Trump of triggering this budget showdown with Republican plans they believe threaten American access to healthcare. We demand a meeting regarding your choice to shutter the federal government, which stems from the Republican push to weaken healthcare for everyday people, the leaders wrote. Clearly, Democrats are positioning themselves as champions of bipartisan solutions that protect families and counter what they describe as a Republican healthcare crisis. But this is the part most people miss. President Trump isn't flatly refusing to meet. In fact, when asked about the situation, he said he'd be open to it, though he dismissed the likely effectiveness of such a conversation. "I'd love to meet with them, but I don't think it'll make a difference," Trump remarked, raising the question, is this gridlock inevitable, or could a face-to-face discussion break the deadlock? The clock is ticking. Congress, controlled by Republicans, left town for a break without resolving the funding deadlock. The House did pass a temporary funding bill, which would keep the government open through November. However, the Senate blocked this GOP proposal. Democrats, meanwhile, offered their own plan that would have increased healthcare funding. But it didn't gain approval either. And this is where things heat up. There's no obvious path forward. If Congress and the White House can't strike a deal, a shutdown may become reality in less than 2 weeks, when the current budget year and government funding expire. For context, Trump's first term presided over the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, back in 2018 to 2019, a fact that's not lost on lawmakers. On Friday, Trump suggested the shutdown could mean a closed country for a period of time, but assured the public that military operations and social security checks would still be handled. This claim is sure to spark debate. Can the governor truly meet these commitments during a shutdown? Or is that more campaign rhetoric? Republican leaders are pushing back hard, insisting Democrats are the ones stalling progress. Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune introduced a short-term funding solution, something Congress often uses to break these stalemates. That measure, however, narrowly passed in the House along party lines and faces a much tougher test in the Senate, where bills typically require 60 votes and bipartisan support. Democrats are holding firm on protecting healthcare programs. Their plan would extend vital insurance subsidies that are set to expire and undo Medicaid cuts that Republicans introduced earlier this year in their major tax and spending package. But Republicans say reversing those Medicaid changes is simply out of the question. They're not opposed to revisiting the insurance subsidy issue, but they argue there's time to deal with it after the immediate crisis has passed. So, who do you think is really responsible for this shutdown standoff? Is the healthcare fight bringing necessary attention to vulnerable programs, or is it holding the government hostage? Does President Trump's openness to a meeting signal hope for compromise, or is it just more political theater? Share your thoughts below. Is one side more to blame? Could a bipartisan deal truly fix the crisis, or is this a political battle that's bound to repeat itself?